Insights with Mark Haan.
Welcome to Inebriated Insights, everybody. Specifically, a shout out to our most loyal viewer, my brother Brian. Happy belated 34th birthday.
All right, Brian.
From everyone here at the show where we all get drunk and talk about politics. Dave, what is the word that we're going to drink to tonight?
We're drinking anything senator tonight. So either Senate or senator, or if you mention any senator like McCarthy or no, that's not a senator. That's a representative.
Oh, well, that was a senator.
Oh, okay.
It
was.
years ago.
So I guess in the
Then which McCarthy? If you're not specific enough, then we can assume.
Packwood.
Should we do past senators?
Well, why not?
Count?
Yeah, because we're gonna talk about them a lot, right?
Why not?
Tons of past senators.
Get really technical,
really historical here.
Pulling out our fucking books.
Well, Biden is a past senator.
Yeah.
As is Harris. So there's a bunch of them. Obama.
We're gonna get Trump.
I don't have enough alcohol. Not Trump.
Not at all.
Never.
Can you imagine? I guess he could be like the senator from
Marjorie
Florida.
Taylor Greene is Congress. You know, if that's possible, then oh my God.
Yeah, I heard that that if the Republicans win the House, there's no rule that says it has to be a representative to be Speaker of the House, and so they're hoping that they can go ahead and just put Trump in for their Speaker of the House, and so then try and impeach both Harris and Biden. I think the rules have started already. So
wait, okay,
and then Trump could be president. Look at that sexy man.
But the Speaker. The speaker doesn't have to be a member of the governing body.
I don't know. I saw it on Facebook.
They make up all these rules that they think they can get away. I mean, remember all the rules they made up for how they were going to get Trump back in office.
Yeah.
So realistically, this is just one of their many dream solutions for the problem that probably has no constitutional basis whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
All right, there it is.
Now that we've gone through that Orwellian nightmare,
have we even have we introduced everybody? We just kind of assume that everybody knows each other. I'm Dave Stratton.
Hey, there's Jarrett Kaufman with the flag, and back for his second appearance, Joshua Jerome.
Woohoo!
Hello.
Who's in reality 100 feet away from Dave.
Oh, something like that. Yeah, we're neighbors.
At least physically.
Next door.
Pretty much roommates.
Yeah.
Well, should we slurp the show?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's slurp it.
Let's
slurp it up. We're going to be drinking a lot tonight, so there it is.
Yeah, you got to cut it short. President Biden is expected to unveil his proposed budget for 2021 tomorrow. Biden, that's right.
We're going to regret this.
Yeah.
According to the New York Times, the budget calls for total spending to rise to $8.2 trillion by 2031, to be paid for by raising taxes on rich people mostly. His budget includes the American Jobs Plan and American Families Plan, but leaves out money for a public option for healthcare and any level of student loan forgiveness. I have to admit, when I first saw this, my first thought was, fuck you, Biden.
Oh, no.
Because those are the two things that would help me the most personally.
Sure.
But then on the other hand, from a political perspective, it's he is going for the $4 trillion this year for jobs, infrastructure, economic stimulus for families, a lot of green initiatives. I understand how maybe from a political perspective, he might want to put things off until next year, because if he tries to put it all in this year's budget, some of that can get rejected in negotiations, and then it's harder to go for it again next year. On the other hand, there's 7 Democrats who, if they died tomorrow, and many of them are in their 70s, they would either be replaced by a Republican or that seat wouldn't be filled at all. And then we'd have Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. So I am of
Senate and
two minds of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jet, what were your thoughts in looking at what the priorities were?
I mean, yeah, I'm of a similar mind. That it really bugs the hell out of me to not make progress on these issues. I don't have student loans because I didn't bother to go to college. But
Right.
I know
Child
enough
actor.
people who did, right, exactly, which
Hmm.
extremely lucrative, paid off in the long run beautifully in my IT field.
And
But
child acting.
yeah, right. But yeah, the those seem to be to me some of the biggest issues for everybody. I mean, access to education for everybody for resolves so many of the economic class warfare issues we have. It resolves uh, it resolves isn't the right is the right what isn't the right word, but it helps so many of the class issues, so many of the race issues, so many problems we have. Education alone, access to higher education, access to the jobs it makes available to people, not to mention just, again, so much of the mess we were in for the last 4 years, not to mention all the countless years before that, but just less obvious, is because of just how dumb people are.
Yep.
And it's not purely intelligence, it's lack of education. And education goes a long way to get waking people up. The mere act of going to college or at least leaving your small town and meeting other people who are nothing like your people is massive to waking people up to recognizing what the world is like. And so anything that makes it easy for people to go to higher education, even if they do nothing with that degree, because I know it's such a classic joke that someone got a degree in whatever arts or women's studies or history, because now with a history degree you could become a history professor to teach other people history. We joke about this stuff, and sure, it's funny and ha ha ha, but the reality is it's still valuable.
Hmm.
It's still valuable to your future as a human and as a person who can provide greater value to your country. If we want to be all patriotic, there's nothing more patriotic than raising the intelligence and knowledge level of your entire population.
Yeah.
So that alone is one thing. And then the one that is more directly personal to me and should be to every single human being in the world is healthcare. I live in fear constantly that something will go wrong and I will not be able to afford to do jack shit about it. I can't count the number of times I haven't bothered to go to the doctor for something that, luckily, so far, knock on wood, has all turned out relatively well, but may not have been. And I should have gotten help. And we see all these people who don't get help because they can't afford it. And then when they do have something serious, sure, maybe they get the help they need, but then they're in debt for the rest of their lives and their quality of life is destroyed just because they happen to save their life for what purpose in the end. I think healthcare, for me personally, is probably the single biggest fear point we have in this country for everybody that most of us share except for the incredibly rich. And even then, sometimes you'll see there's reports of these people who were doing well but then got hit with the one thing and they've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical bills and suddenly they're sunk too. So it's hard for me to list things that are that much more important other than climate change itself. And so to see it just kind of get kicked down the road, knowing that Biden's never taken it as seriously as I think he should have. I know he cares, but I know his unwillingness to actually go deep into single payer demonstrates not taking it seriously enough. And so it getting kicked down the road just to me feels like he still doesn't take it seriously enough.
Hmm.
There is one thing that the only concern to me for single payer is like we've seen how the federal government will pass programs and then Republican governors will sabotage them in
Yeah.
Hmm.
their states. And I'm wondering if we passed Medicare for all, if all of these Republican governors would totally sabotage it in their
Of
states
course.
so that they could say it doesn't work. Anyway, that's my quick tangent.
Hmm.
What do you think, Dave?
Well,
Does Biden care?
yeah, I think that the loan forgiveness,
Biden.
Biden, loan forgiveness is just a pipe dream. It would be nice. I mean, I'm debt free, but I don't mind if other people get debt free from their college tuition. I was a lucky person who got an affordable college education that I was able to pay for while I was in college, and I came out without any student loans. It was just a very
Fuck.
fortunate. I know, very fortunate. Good old
I didn't know
Western
you could do
Washington
that at Western.
University. Go Vikings!
I
I
went
love.
there for a quarter. It
Uh,
wasn't that cheap.
well, I
Yeah.
mean, back then it was only like 6 grand or 9 grand a quarter or something, or three grand a quarter. It was just super cheap. I don't know. Of course, that was also I'm like 80 years older than you, Mark. So, um, what? I'm a little bit older than Mark, but anyway. So I really. It would be nice, but I really don't think that no Republican, not one Republican's ever gonna say, "Oh yes, student loan forgiveness." That is like the quintessential uh, uh, socialist policy that
Well,
you can
that
think
one
of.
Biden could do by executive order,
Hmm.
which was one thing I was wondering about. I was like, maybe he didn't put it in the budget because he's thinking about just wiping it away by executive order, which
Hmm.
he totally could do and should do.
Yeah.
Um,
So Medicare is, of course, is something that I'm also strongly feeling about, but I don't feel that's going to go ahead and happen this term. I don't think there's not enough support on the Senate to try and get that passed right now. Senate, woo.
and it,
Like I don't know. It is something that I feel that we should mimic, like every other first world country on this planet, and have universal health care because it should be a right and not a privilege. We should
absolutely.
be able to feel comfortable if like we get sick and not have to worry about going bankrupt. I like piggybacking off of Jet. I've dealt with a lot of people's finances, and like the number one cause for financial problems is just medical bills. That, and it's not even so, I mean, it is a lot of medical bills piling up. It's just how people can't like detect them. Like they have these charges that show up that are never get sent to them, and then they just sit on their credit report and they're delinquent, and then it gets sent over to a collection agency, and they have all these people calling them, and it's just like people have pages and pages of this shit, and they're like, I didn't know about any of this, and they're fucked. Like it's insane that we have a system like that. um, so I'm a Kaiser person, and I love Kaiser. I feel like it's the closest thing that we have to socialized medicine. But I need a surgery right now that I haven't. I know they haven't called me about. It's not nothing's big, but I just they need to call me about it. I'm like, come on, I just need this
Oh,
fucking.
I know what one you're talking about.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
um,
Um,
anyways, yeah, I
what?
know it has its ups and downs with the universal health care, but I do feel that we, as the highest grossing nation on this planet, we have the most wealth out of any other country. Well, yeah, the highest GDP,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Hmm.
We should be able to find a system where we can have universal health care, and the people that want to have a private health care that's not subsidized by the government so that they can pay extra to go ahead and get service before everybody else. I feel that is something that we can work out. Like, I don't know why that's a problem, but I don't know. Healthcare.
What do you think, Josh? Is there anything in Biden's budget that's sorely lacking?
Biden.
Hmm.
Gosh, I'll be honest. I'm not that studied up on the issues, not as well as I should be, at least with more of the current stuff. I know that it's disappointing as far as and so here's where I need some guidance. So the infrastructure, right? I know that that's something that they're discussing, right? And he's proposing less money now than was anticipated, right?
Well, Biden started off at 2.2. Republicans countered with like 500 billion. Then Biden's people went down to 1.7, and Republicans said fuck off. So it might go back up to 2.2. So no one really knows right now.
Yeah, and I know it seems kind of ethereal, uh, but but it's not because it's everything. Like it's terrible. I mean, I was driving down to San Diego, and I don't know if this really falls into the thing, but like the roads are so. I mean, it's terrible. It's
Yeah, it's a
like
shitty ass drive.
Yeah.
and I'm like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? And again, we're supposed to be like a preeminent country and can't even take care of our cities, our roads,
or just mass transportation. Like our rail system's garbage compared to the rest of the country. Like,
it's laughable.
yeah, and also piggybacking off what Jet was saying about education, how it makes us patriotic. Like, I mean, what happened back in the day when everybody was super proud of how smart your country was? Like, it's like South Korea, Japan, China, Russia. These countries still value how smart their citizens are, and we just fucking don't care anymore because like we're stupid and we're proud of it or something. I don't know.
Now we denigrate intelligence. We
Yeah.
we treat educated people like they're the problem.
Yeah, like, oh God, that
Yeah.
science that you believe in, that's anti-Christian.
Elitism.
Yeah, that's satanic stuff right there. I mean, learning. So, but it's sad. But I've talked about this before on this show. I do think that that state universities should be state run. Like they should be free. We should have free tuition for public universities. Community college and all state universities should be free, but not something that like, oh, I'll just go to the state university. Make them really hard to get into. Like, make that the school that everybody wants to go to. Like, oh, you go to UCLA, you know how hard it is to get in there, and your tuition's free? That's crazy. Like, so people strive really hard to try and get into this state school that's not only free but really a really good education where all the professors are paid really well with really good pensions and good health care and everything. Like, make that the priority for students. That's going to drive people wanting to get good educations. Like, fuck, I can try really hard and then get into this free college. Like, I work for one of the most prestigious and difficult colleges to get into in the whole U.S. They only take about 180 students each year. But since I work for that institution, my kids can go there for free, and my kids are super smart, but still it's a long shot that they can get in. So it's just me motivating them, like, guys, you want to go to this school, keep on getting good grades, because I mean it's a very expensive school as well. So I mean that's motivation to get people to want to learn. But will it ever happen? I don't know. Probably not. But
There's a lot of equality and equity issues within the admissions process, though, and so like when I totally get what you're saying, and I don't disagree with the concept, but we have to solve a bunch of problems with how the colleges pick their membership first before we can go purely based on a system like that, because there are so many equality problems for kids to even qualify. And so you have so many classism issues where so many students just simply don't have access to the kind of SAT scores. It's consistently found that the main factor in a kid getting a good SAT score is being white and rich and being able to afford the SAT tutors and classes and everything necessary to get a good enough score. And in the last year, because SATs have been so hard to take properly, a lot more colleges have gone SAT optional, including a lot of big major colleges. And their demographics change dramatically in their admissions as a result of going SAT optional instead of going purely based on things like last year high school scores. And there were huge changes in their admissions practices. A lot of them are saying they don't want to go back to the old systems. Some are saying they do, because the thing is, the old systems allowed them to ensure that they got a class of students who gave them a lot of money. And that was a huge factor in it. So even with the free college thing, like, there's so many potential loopholes for how that can get manipulated so that it's still the rich white kids getting in. So I get a little bit nervous about that. There's a bunch of things we have to fix before we can make it purely merit based, because merit isn't actually merit in the system.
yeah, well,
And that's not just SATs, by the way. Like in musical theater, the rich kids' parents pay for them to get singing and dance lessons, and then they do really well in their audition, and then they get scholarships even though they don't need them because their parents are rich. But anyway, let's move on to our next exciting topic.
Woo! Can't get more exciting
Gabe, if
than
you will.
stuff.
Topics.
Okay.
Senate Republicans are expected to filibuster a bipartisan commission passed by the House to investigate the attack on the Capitol on January 6th, despite support from Senators
Senate.
Mitt Romney and Lisa Murkowski.
2 senators.
Being the absolute brilliant negotiator he is, Joe Biden announced he would
Biden.
not support ending the filibuster. Joe Manchin.
Imagine.
Even if they used it to filibuster an investigation of how everyone in that legislative body was almost murdered. If there was any hope of bipartisanship ever happening, doesn't this end it, Josh? And how can the few who are willing to pretend that the filibuster does anything but stunt progress continue on this quixotic quest for bipartisanship?
I mean, it's wishful thinking at this point. Bipartisanship in the Senate, only because
Senate.
if you have your own party that can't agree on what to do moving forward, and this is this is pivotal. This is the time, right? Because we have midterms coming up, and to your point earlier, there are a lot of people who are elderly, in those seats, and if they're gone, then like you said, the Republicans will take those seats, and we're going to be shit out of luck. We won't be able to do the things that we need to do, whether it's healthcare reform, whether it's education, or whatever the case might be. So I really feel like, we're in trouble. We're in trouble, and I know that Biden has called out Joe Manchin publicly.
Biden Manchin.
Oh, cheers.
Biden and Manchin, 2 drinks. Has he? Did I miss this?
It wasn't like, okay, I said call out publicly. It wasn't anything like too stern, but at least he's acknowledged it as far as, hey, we need to work together.
Yeah, I think he said that. Yeah, sounds about right. I just feel that if they can't come together as a partisan issue on this issue, then they're not going to come together about anything. I feel that bipartisanship is it's something that's something that happened in the past. It's not going to happen with this GOP. When the Democrats were in the minority, both in the House and the Senate. There it is. Back when Trump took office, that first 2 years there, there was no bipartisanship. They didn't give 2 fucks about the Democrats, so
they weren't even allowed in the room.
Yeah,
they weren't even invited.
It's fucking ridiculous. They don't want to work together. They just want their policies, and if the Democrats don't say, "Oh yeah, we're just going to give you everything you want, exactly how you want it," then that's not, "Oh, you aren't cooperating. That's not bipartisanship. You don't give us everything that we absolutely want, and we can't meet in the middle." And it's, my philosophy is that the U.S. has never negotiated with terrorism. That's what their policy. That's what the U.S.'s policy is. These people are now, I feel, if they participated in this insurrection by encouraging their constituents to storm the Capitol, they are in fact terrorists, and the Democratic Party should side with the U.S. and not negotiate with terrorists. So that's my opinion on it. Fuck those guys.
Do you guys agree that in the midterms we should do what James Carville says and be like, they're all a bunch of insurrectionist pedophiles, and just really go that hard at them? What do you think, Jet?
I'm not sure it's going to make a difference. I mean, I guess since I'm not sure it's going to make a difference, then sure, go for it. I think that the issue is that hardcore base that is what we're butting up against doesn't care and doesn't believe it was an insurrection and believes Trump actually won. So I'm not sure that that's going to do anything to convince them.
No, they're a lost cause.
Yeah, so maybe the fence sitters. I guess my gut instinct there is it won't help, but it also won't hurt. So sure, why the fuck not?
I mean, I think it is important, and Dan Pfeiffer talks about this a lot, who was communications director for Obama. They always label us as radical we need to find a way to have consistent messaging that points out how radical they are, so that they are unacceptable to independent swing voters.
Well, all you got to do is just reference history. I mean, just look at what Democrats and Republicans were, 30, 40 years ago. Yeah,
People don't know history because they don't go to college.
Exactly,
Dave.
they're
We
not
are,
history.
we are
We've
first
already talked
segment.
about all of this. So,
Yeah.
but seriously though, like if you go back to when Nixon was in office, like the tax rate on the wealthy was like super high, like 30. It was beyond high, and so that's all the Democrats want to do right now is just put it back to that tax rate
Put
before
it back
Reagan.
to Republican standards.
Yeah,
Not
back
even
when
that.
fucking Nixon was in office, like the fucking the poster child for the Republican Party for a long time. Like
The man who started the EPA.
yeah, the guy who fucking fought
Yeah.
against the Red War. Yeah, I mean like the Cold War. Sorry. It just boggles my mind that they would call those tax rates socialism when Nixon was the one who was fighting against socialism back in the 70s. I don't know, it's fucked up,
Yep.
man. It's,
My messaging, if I were Biden, would be like, I want the tax rates to be the same that they were in 1994. Is that socialist? That's
Yeah.
what I would just say every time.
yeah,
I
back
just
to
want them to be what they were in the 90s.
when George
That's
W.
all.
Bush. Well, I mean, I think it should be for what it was when Nixon was in office. Like Reagan really fucking just destroyed this country with his trickle down economics, and then it kind of went back up with H.W. Bush and Clinton and to something reasonable, but then fucking W came around and just slashed it and raped it in its ass again. But no, I think that is a good standpoint there, just being like, hey, remember the 90s? Would you call that socialist era? Or do you remember the late 70s or the mid 70s there? You call that socialist? Like, no, it's just go back in time and say, this is how Republicans were. This is how Democrats were. Look where Republicans are now, all right? And look where Democrats are now. Like, Democrats are pretty much the same. Like, if you look at the ideological spectrum from left to right, where fucking Republicans just went way off the deep end on the right end there towards, like pretty much fascism right now, totalitarianism. And they say that, oh, well, Democrats are still the same. They're way far over here. So guess what? The Democrats are extreme because they're way to the left. But no.
Well,
not.
if you don't mind,
No, go ahead.
I'd like
Professor.
It's crazy. It's just like the GOP right now is having an identity crisis. They don't know who they are, right? And that's what's going to be so interesting about what happens after. It's interesting in the sense that historically it'll be cool to track, but scary in the moment because, again, the whole thing with Liz Cheney, all that drama, and how she's been ousted.
Cheney.
And
oh wait,
Not a senator.
But was Dick Cheney ever a senator? Oh well, sorry.
Oh no, we
believe
took an
so.
accidental extra drink.
Okay.
hey, thanks for being on it.
There you go.
And so you have, the Mitt Romneys and that
Romney.
class.
Romney.
Romney.
That one counts.
Of that class of Republican, and then you have the Marjorie Taylor Greens, and you have all of these individuals who are so sworn to the Trump brand that it's interesting as the GOP goes through all that. I wonder what it's going to mean for, going back to our previous conversation, bipartisan efforts. Are the more reasonable conservatives, are they going to be willing to align with? Because I think that's Biden's foil. I'm sorry, I'm backtracking.
One question that I would pose is bipartisanship even a good thing? Because like
Not anymore.
in the 80s, Reagan and Tip O'Neill worked together a lot. They didn't really produce the best policies for America. I mean, the Democrats had the House during the entire Reagan administration. Shouldn't it just be the way that it is in many other Western nations, where it's like the majority party governs, the minority party complains about it and puts forth their vision, and then the voters get to decide? I don't understand why everyone jerks off to bipartisanship.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, it's like we're trying to
I don't care.
pander
I
to.
mean, I know in polling they're like, would you rather people be bipartisan? Of course, people are going to say yes. They're not going to be like, no, I'd rather they fight. But I think people care a lot more about what they actually do.
Yeah. Well,
I think
Uh,
if we could solve the gerrymandering issues, I'd feel a little bit better about that. But
Absolutely.
it's way too easy for the Republicans to manage to take control and keep control for me to feel good about the idea that whoever has the majority is just calls the shots, because they're too good at ensuring. Like, I feel like it was just a pure accident that they lost control this time. That they did the wrong math. They put their chips in the wrong places, and they're doing a pretty darn good job of fixing all of the holes that they accidentally left that allowed them to lose power. And they're going to come right back in. And so,
Let
yeah,
me
I
ask
agree with
this,
you that
Jay.
bipartisanship is bullshit. But I feel like our two-party system itself is bullshit.
Yep.
And so until we have something that allows for more points of views to matter, we're stuck here.
yeah.
Let me ask you guys this quickly before we move on. Like, we know that Republicans are going to gerrymander Texas and Georgia and Wisconsin and places like that, if they can't, even more than they already are. But should Democrats, I mean, I think they control it in like 7 states, the biggest one being New York. Should they just gerrymander the fuck out of that state and say, if you have a problem with it, then we can pass HR1, otherwise shut the fuck up?
I think so.
Why should we play by the rules?
Exactly, and that's the downfall of the Democratic Party, is that we're just playing nice.
Play by the rules.
Yeah, we have to try and do the right thing, and I agree with that. I mean, but like, the Republicans figured out nice guys finish last, and so they've tried to fuck everybody else over until they can get what they want, and they don't give a shit of how many people they piss off. It's astounding to me that Biden right now, what's his approval rating, like 60% or something close to that, 63%,
Like mid-50s.
mid 50s. All right, well,
That's pretty good.
It's still a large majority of Americans, when Trump never had anything close to that. Like, he never went over 49%, but yet it's still like they can't figure out that he lost. They're like, they think that they're the silent majority. Like, no, you're the loud minority. Like, it's only like 1 in 6 Republicans, or 1 in 6 people in the U.S. voted for him in the 2016 election there, but they're thinking like, oh, it's got to be a landslide. He won by millions of votes. Everybody wants Trump in there.
Delusional. But speaking of Trump,
Yeah.
we're going to move on to your question,
All
Dave.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, God. White Cloud.
All right. Now for the Lucy and the football story. New York County DA Cyrus Vance Jr., whose dad was Secretary of State for Jimmy Carter, I learned today. Anyway, he's assembled a grand jury in his case investigating the Trump organization, indicating that his 2-year-long investigation is drawing closer to indicting Trump and his family members. Dave, will Trump throw Don Jr. and Eric under the bus since they're officially the heads of the Trump organization? Will Ivanka remember who CFO Alan Weisselberg is, despite what she said in her deposition, where she said she didn't know who it was? Do you have any hope that Trump could face any justice for any of his crimes? Any at all? Please, God, please.
I hope so. I mean, Trump, I don't want to praise him in any way, but he is the most successful and biggest con man this country's ever seen. Like, he literally conned his way into being president, and that's an accomplishment. I mean, it's not a noble accomplishment, but he fucking did it, and he will con his way out of this. It's like, I hate this guy. I fucking hate him. Like, I just want to fucking get him. But so, like, I feel that he will throw Eric and Trump Jr. under the bus. I don't think he would ever
That'd be hilarious.
yeah, and he only cares about himself. He doesn't give two shits about his family. I think he cares about Ivanka. Like he wouldn't throw her under the bus. Like he I think he secretly wants to have sex with Ivanka, but everybody.
Well, he said so.
Yeah,
On
everybody
TV.
thinks that's fucking gross, so he's not gonna do it. And maybe he did. I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if he did something with her.
Wow, we went to a dark place.
Yeah, we went real
Never
dark. But I mean, fucking Trump, man. I like he's probably done some gross shit with fucking Jeffrey Epstein and just fucking appalling shit. And we'll never know because he cons his way out of everything. And so I think we lost Jet. But let's see here. Anyways, his internet just went out. But anyway, so I feel that Trump, the case that they're building, I feel that it's going to work. It's going to be a long drawn out trial. I don't think he knows how to fucking pander to people. But I mean, Cohen speaking out against him, like everybody speaking out against him, like the Weisselstein, their CFO of what's his name there, Mark?
Alan Weisselberg.
Sorry, Weisselberg. He was the CFO. He handled all of the accounts for Trump and Trump Senior, Trump's dad, like for the last 40 years. Like there's no fucking way that she doesn't know who this guy is. And so she's just learning from her dad of just, oh wait, whoa, I don't know who this guy is. Like I don't know who's that guy. It's funny when people are faced with some type of crime, they immediately say, oh, I don't know. So for an example, today I dealt with a guy. So I deal with government personal identification verifying cards, and it's illegal to take a picture or photograph or scan any of these. It's a government credential. So this guy, he was out in the lobby and he wanted to keep it for a keepsake, and we wouldn't let him have it. So he kind of took it and he took some pictures of it. And so he came back to my office and I told him, look, this is a crime. You can't photograph these government credentials. You need to delete them. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll go ahead and do that. And then I read him the Title 12, Section 30, something, blah, 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 the actual statute that said the law, and it says fines and imprisonment can will not be less than 6 years or for 6 months, and fines. And he was just like, oh, I didn't do that. I didn't do it. Like, he immediately just changed it. And I was like, fuck, I'm not going to sit there and call him out and grab his phone and try to delete it. I can't. That's not my job to do that. So it was just like how quickly he turned when he heard that the law could, fine him and imprison him. He was just like, no, I didn't do that. And I was just like, fuck, like that's every fucking Trump and every fucking evil peer person that involves this fucking orange twat. That's what they do. It's like, oh, that's something that I can be charged for. I'm going to weasel my way in every fucking narcissistic way to try and get out of this bullshit. And it drives me up the wall. Like, I don't understand. And he's been doing it for his whole fucking life. Like, why anybody follows him and why anybody thinks he's this great person, it just grinds my fucking gears. I've never liked this fucking twat. Even when he was on Home Alone 2, I fucking turned it off. No, I didn't do that. But
and he was really bad in that Pizza Hut commercial.
Yeah, no,
we need to talk about it.
WWF. Yeah. Anyways, good old White Claw. Anybody else? No. Sorry, I went on a little rant there.
Josh, what's up?
Oh man, so much.
He's in awe of me yelling at Trump. So
here's why I'm worried. Because to your point, going back to what Mark was saying about, why don't we just say fuck it and go for it? I'm really, really afraid, because what if what we do unto others won't come back to us? And I know that nice guys finish last and all of that. But I feel like we still have to have some integrity. We have to have something, because if we sell out too much to the political machine, then we lose hope. You know what I mean? We lose that thing. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I know. I just want them to gerrymander New York, New Jersey, and Maryland. That's all.
Yeah, that's
Just
it.
that's all. Just a few.
But
Would it be terrible?
but I mean, do you think that Trump will go to jail? That's the thing. Like I really hope so, and I feel like that there is a good 2 years of investigation, grand jury. Manhattan also has their DA on this, along with New York. Georgia has a specific case against him. If this the insurrectionist bill or whatever it's called that's in the Senate right now, that's probably not going to pass. If that doesn't pass, I feel that Garland needs to put together an investigation on his own with the DOJ into what the fuck happened. And then anybody who's adamant against it, I feel should probably be an accessory, Like, they need to look into fucking McCarthy and his role, and fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene, how she was leading people through the Capitol building the day before the insurrection, giving
I think
tours.
it was allegedly Lauren Boebert.
Oh, Boebert.
Yeah.
So, like, all these people need to their role. Like Green was tweeting her Pelosi's whereabouts. Like, all these people need to be.
That was also Boebert.
Was it Boebert? All right. Well, Green did something. All
It's
right.
all Boebert.
She did something.
Well, she's a piece of
Many
shit.
bad things. Yes.
So they all need to be investigated, and they all need to face their fucking crimes that they've committed. Like, face the repercussions, and that's just. And if they don't do that, like it's people will have no faith in this government, and it's like if people don't pay for the crimes that they've committed, what the fuck are we even doing? Why do?
Oh well, and particularly again, we just had the anniversary of George Floyd's killing, his murder, really, and you have so many people in this country who are faced with injustice.
Yeah, and they demand justice. That's the thing.
And they demand justice. So yeah, so you see what happens, and then you have all of these deniers calling it something else, saying that it wasn't an insurrection, saying that it was benign, and it's like the hypocrisy. And so it's those moments that inflame tension.
Yeah.
That have long existed.
And it drives me crazy that the same people that are denying this are the same people who were there fucking recording everything on their phone and being like, we're going to take back the government by force. But yet, no, it never happened. I don't know. Even though there's like literally hundreds of video feeds going on at the same time with social media posts on multiple platforms all talking about it all at the same time. What kind of fucking morons do you think everybody is to not believe that it was not an insurrection? It's just, what are we doing right now? It's just mind-boggling.
We are through the looking glass.
Yeah.
And I know even if you went to prison, it would be like the white-collar tennis court playing prison.
Yeah.
But just for the humiliation of seeing him put in handcuffs and put behind bars,
yeah,
I want to see it happen.
Even if it was just Martha Stewart. Well, even that, like, he wouldn't be allowed to run for president again. That's all I care about.
Is that a law?
Well, they can't be. You can't be. So the few things that can prohibit you from being a president. Well, you have to be over 35. You have to be naturally U.S. born. Like, you can't be a naturalized U.S. citizen. So if you're born on foreign soil to U.S. parents, that counts. That's how Ted Cruz got around that. And you can't be a convicted felon. And so
I just looked this up, and apparently you can.
Oh, fuck me. Well, never mind. I'm dead.
Really?
So you could be a convicted felon and you can run for president?
There never has been one, but you can, yes.
Wow.
But you can't vote.
Yeah.
In those states, if you're a convicted felon, but you can run for president.
Yeah, the only requirements are 35 years old, native-born American, and a resident of America.
Okay, so there's also something called the Smith Amendments. These amendments prohibit people from obtaining security clearances, and you need all fucking top security clearances to be president. And one of the so the Smith amendments are you can't be a convicted felon, you can't use illegal drugs in the last year, you can't have a security clearance denied, and I think there's one other ones, but the felon one is a big one. So I just feel like that might be able. Also, if you participate in an insurrection, you can't hold office in any U.S. office.
I think the other problem with all of this is it presupposes that anyone does anything about it.
Yeah, nobody fucking cares.
Yeah.
And that's what we learned from the last 4 years, is that he did so many things that should have been cared about, but enough people in the Congress and Senate
There you go.
were determined not to give a shit that he got away with breaking countless laws. He got away with so many impeachable offenses before they bothered to finally get around to impeaching him, and then even the Senate couldn't be bothered to actually convict.
It's just like
So, yeah, it requires anyone to give a shit.
It's unprecedented times. It's just like I cannot imagine going back 60 years and talking to my grandparents about what the fuck is going on right now. They wouldn't even understand. They're like, how could that ever happen? How could America do that? Like there's laws against this. There's, rules and regulations. We have a constitution that outlines what we can and can't do. And then it's just like, none of that shit matters anymore. It's like, this is.
Well, speaking of grandparents, let's rant about old politicians. Let's go on to our last segment.
Oh, God.
Dave, why don't you go first?
Oh, not me. Well, okay, fine. I'll say this. We briefly spoke about it, but Joe Manchin, man.
Always and forever.
Fucking Joe Manchin. Like, he is the one motherfucker who's keeping this democracy right now from making any progress. Like, this whole January 6th commission is very vital to the future of our whole democracy. And it's like, oh, I don't want to do a filibuster. Fuck that. Blah, it's integrity of bipartisanship. Blah, blah, blah. And then the whole voter rights bill that's going to be coming up, that he is fucking stonewalling any progress that we make. And he's a fucking Democrat. This guy needs to go right to fucking hell. Fuck him. I don't know. I wish there was another Democrat who could take his spot. And it's not going to happen. There's nothing that can do. It's just, like, if you don't want to end the filibuster because of something that almost fucking killed you, you're just... I'm beyond words right now. Like, you...
And could kill you again.
Yeah. Like, there could literally... be another insurrection where it succeeds, and guess what? You could die, but he doesn't fucking, for the integrity of the minority, I don't want to be in the minority again and then not have a say. Or,
to be fair to Senator Manchin, though, he did issue a scathing statement against McConnell.
That's going to do it, because McConnell has a conscience.
He cares about statements.
Yeah, and gives a shit about anything other than himself. Because he doesn't really give a shit about his constituents because they're the, poorest fucking state in the whole union. But, anyways. Oh, God, I feel like...
Well, losing their population quite rapidly.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, and because people are dying because they don't believe that, COVID is real and they shouldn't get a vaccination that's going to save their lives and other people's lives because, that's a winner situation right there. That's
Josh, who should fuck off this week?
Who should fuck off this week? Oh, man. Golly. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for the moment.
We never are.
You should talk about the rats that are around our house right now. I got one stuck in my fucking attic that I sealed off the house. That motherfucking rat wants to come out, and I put a bunch of poison down underneath. And we got a lot of fucking rats around here. But anyways, this is your fuck off.
I haven't seen them yet.
What?
I haven't seen them. I haven't seen the rats.
Really? Just go out at night. They're running I see them running around your guys' orange trees there and going up into over into your... Yeah, they're fucking gross, man.
The Senate's
Okay.
made up of half of them.
Yeah, Senate,
Yeah.
a bunch of fucking rats.
Rats.
Well, who should fuck off there, Josh?
Arby's got rats. You know what should fuck off? I'm gonna take it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just take it to the
No,
place
do
for
it.
a second.
We need you to do it.
The clouds should fuck off.
The
You know why?
cloud?
Because I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to keep her blood moon. I walked outside. I felt like freaking-
Oh, the
literally-
clouds. Got it.
yeah, I was wearing my robe and I had my hair tied. And it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm walking around. I was like, maybe I'll take the moon if I walk around the block. I literally walked around and I thought to myself, straight cat on the there. And I was like, this is really stupid that I'm doing this right now. But I wanted to see the moon.
Yeah.
Anyway, I ended up just catching the live stream on because Griffith Park Observatory was doing it. I'm like, why am I watching this awesome event through the phone? But anywho, the clouds were so thick that night, even on the live stream, it was interrupted. So fuck the clouds
Yeah.
and fuck the Senate.
Wow. I thought you meant like the clouds, like
Yeah, I thought
Like
you meant,
Microsoft and
yeah,
Amazon
like
and
Apple.
Google.
the
iCloud.
Apple
Oh,
Cloud.
wow, no, that's-
Like, man, they really fucked over all my information. They sold everything, and it's just like I can't go anywhere
No.
without like something popping up on my phone.
My main business right
Yeah,
now is
yeah.
cloud support.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, no, it wasn't that deep. It was mostly
Yeah.
Old school clouds, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Jet, who should fuck off this
I'm
week?
gonna go with a favorite, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Nice.
Marjorie Taylor Greene could generally fuck off, but this week she compared vaccine passports, or essentially like logos that vaccine employees that vaccinated employees would wear a logo to indicate that they were vaccinated, to the Holocaust star. And that, you know, basically that they're treating that they're discriminating against people who trust their immune systems to get them through a 99% survivable disease. It's the same rhetoric as always, but it's constant, and it's just such it's so stupid, it's so racist, it's so anti-Semitic, it's just so fucking evil. And she's just, you know, she gets this this cute little white girl pass that gets her, you know, all this extra credit among her people, and it's just fucking disgusting. She's stupid and dangerous, and they love the fuck out of her because that's the thing, you know. The sense of nuance from the GOP is so poor. It's the same thing that gave us Sarah Palin when they were like, "Oh, you all want a woman? We'll give you a woman. We all just need to find one. Here's one. We found one." And that's what she is. She happens to be saying the shit they want to hear, and she's a white woman, and they're like, yes, that's everything we want. Great. Yes, we love women. See, we love women.
That's why I hate Candace Owens.
Yes.
Sorry, but okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
please do a rant on Candace Owens.
Yeah, who's Candace
Because I
Owens?
can't.
I forget.
He's a betrayer to the max. You know why? Because it's like you have no right to get up on there and start saying these things about black people. You know, when again, just on the subject of George Floyd, the way she dismissed his life, and it's like, listen, Candace, if you were, because I studied in Kentucky, if you got caught in the wrong roads in Kentucky, in the wrong areas, let me tell you something, Candace. Those people aren't going to care about your politics. They're just going to see one thing. They see you, the color of your skin. And I don't want to reduce things down to this kind of. It feels primordial in a sense, right? Because we're bigger than our race. We are, absolutely. We transcend that, and yet, unfortunately, there still is a consciousness, an awareness that we have to have. Like Candace Owens portrays that every time she gets up there and defends the Trump or whoever. It's terrible. So anyway,
yeah.
I'll add on to Candace Owens. She who hates liberals so much was represented by the ACLU in an harassment case when she was a teen. She is a total fucking sociopath and a hypocrite, and is just in it for money and clicks, I think. But mine this week is I was torn between Liz Cheney, who was like, oh, these election law changes in states aren't about the big lie, it's about election security. And it's like, well, Liz, if there was no widespread voter fraud, then there is no need to beef up election security by cutting down on early voting periods.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to give it this week to Stephen Breyer, who did a little fucking tour about why he won't retire from the Supreme Court because it's not a partisan body. Open your fucking eyes, man. I know that most Supreme Court cases are unanimous, but anyone that has any sort of serious political repercussions is always either on partisan lines or within one vote of being on partisan lines. This is the most right-wing court we've had in over a century. Like, dude, I get that you're good at your job. I get that you still like doing it. I get that you can still do it. I get it all. And I know it must be hard to be 82 years old and have people tell you to retire, but this is the system that we have. It's really fucking morbid because you guys get lifetime appointments and we're all waiting for you to die. And if we lose the Senate, which statistically we're going to eventually, and they're just gonna leave your seat open until there's a Republican president. Even if there isn't one for 20 fucking years, they'll just leave your seat open. You know it's true.
Yeah.
So, and it speaks to just a delusion that everyone in Washington has about what Washington, D.C. is and what the federal government is that is just completely divorced from reality. And that's what we have with Manchin and Cinema, too. It's just what they believe is totally divorced from reality, and it's harmful to people. So fuck you, Stephen Breyer.
Yeah.
Retire.
Yeah,
Thank you
retire.
for your decades of service, but retire and don't be a dick about it. And that's our show. Thank you, Jet. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Josh. Been an absolute pleasure as always. Play us out.
Yeah, here it goes. Senate, Manchin, bitch ass McConnell, punch that guy.